Mikey,
Yeah.
you know what month it is?
Yeah. You just wear all kinds of different stuff this month.
Grr! I'm a fucking furry. I'm not a fucking furry. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I,
Denounce. Denounce. Denounce.
Banana Bear Show.
talking about furries. It's furry month.
Yes, we
Now the
are.
first one we talked about was otherkin, people that
Yep.
think they are animals. Uh,
People that
so
are stupid.
now I said that was the dullest of the spear that we are facing with the furries.
It's
Uh,
something.
yeah, we're gonna go into a very sharp, ass, disgusting thing. Because talked about other kin and they're just mentally crazy. What about people in the sphere of furries? Obviously they go to conventions and all that stuff, and they dress up, and some are like internet famous, like a certain person named Quantum Cat.
You just love them? Honestly, one of my favorite things to do in life is enjoy a nice afternoon checking one out, seeing what kinds of animals they have and how they're treated, and maybe interacting with a couple if that's allowed. Perhaps I should look up zoos online. Surely that word hasn't been hijacked by the lowest of the low. Scum of the earth degenerates.
This is Turkey Tom, by the way. Go check out his YouTube
Foolish
channel.
me, I thought these kinds of people were in short supply, but apparently they're far from being under the threat of extinction. Though, in my opinion, they should be. The actual
Yes,
Yep.
talking about a zoophile, Mikey.
Yay.
I probably in the video they are going to say the zoophile is, but I'll just bring it up. These are people that have a fetish for having sexual intercourse with animals.
Gross.
Now, the bad thing about that is everything,
Yes.
obviously.
Yeah.
But the thing that grinds my gears is the amount of people that are this is ex- way. There's more than one or any. They should be eliminated
Right.
from the world.
actual endangered species are whatever animals have the misfortune of attracting the attention of these humans, or, God forbid, having one of them as an owner, and I use the term humans loosely. Today's topic is Quantum Kitty, which makes me think that anyone with kitty in their online handle needs to be relocated to an insane asylum as soon as possible.
Fair.
Of course, any video about this kind of person requires me to emphasize that viewer discretion is advised. Even
Yeah, we should say this. Obviously, the topic of furries should always be looked at that this is not worker friendly, workplace friendly.
Yeah. Not safe for work.
Yeah.
Even though disgusting and degenerate material is the norm on this channel, the topics we're going to cover in this video are truly not safe for life.
Yeah.
You have been warned.
I like how he says safe for life.
Today, I have a
pretty
riddle
funny.
for you. Where can you find amazing boss fights, epic arena battles, endless to March 14th? Among his many deleted instances of online presence, the earliest picture we have of Sean is the one that he has as his profile on Pinterest. I'll make a little caveat here to mention that his bio on Pinterest is "Science, I like science." So you know the guy must be an intellectual heavyweight. The fact that the vest he's seen wearing isn't a genuine Marine Corps surplus vest, but an airsoft mag carrier, indicates that he wasn't in the Marines yet. This, added to the fact that he was settled into his position as a Marine around 2020, when he would have been 20 years old, suggests that he's either 19 or younger in the photo. That being said, how easy is it to get into the Marine Corps? Are they that hard-pressed to recruit that they're scraping the bottom of the barrel to pull in these kinds of people? I'll make sure to get a couple of Mandarin and Russian classes in, because frankly, with these kinds of people in the Marines, if World War III cracks off, we're definitely not making it. But how do we know that this guy is a zoophile? Well, it's a pretty safe guess when he trips over himself to take every opportunity to tell any living soul that he is one. You would expect that someone with an inclination this criminally disgusting and illegal in any minimally civilized part of the world would make some kind of effort to hide it. But it's quite the opposite. The more taboo something is, the more that some have the compulsion to talk about it and tell everyone within sight. On his Twitter account, he proclaimed his expressed love for bestiality from the rooftops. A few indelible truths. Animals can consent. Zoophilia is valid and beautiful. There is absolutely nothing even remotely wrong with loving an animal as one would a human. Don't like it? Ah ha ha ha. Too bad.
Like,
Why?
like we started this little special month thing because
Yeah, we did.
people make fun of furs all the time. Now, mind you, you're furry out there and you're like level 1 furry. You're still fucking weird. You are. But you guys are the gateway to the next couple of like tiers. Because these people are all furries. They're zoophiles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So they dress up like animals and then they do them. That's the group that like anyone going out there and saying, oh, people make fun of furs and they're not that bad people. And they're probably not, mostly are not. But with that being said, you guys have people like this in your group.
Apparently, he couldn't keep his sickness to himself and had to debate others.
And I know they're going to have a debate out there like, oh, well, there's psychopath killers and they're white males, blah, blah, blah. It's not the same thing because being like generic, like, and then like taking that group and then putting that's wrong. This is something that you guys coalesce, go into cons together, a fandom for liking to dress up like animals.
This is not normal.
On the topic online.
No.
These deeply philosophical, ethical
These
arguments
people are weird.
even included him defending the act of violating.
Now, like I said, the tier 1 thing, I'm just gonna make fun of you because
You're still weird. You're still weird.
You're giving nightmares to little kids with your little fucking like suits. But I think slow and behold, a lot of people in the fur community don't like these zoophiles.
Right.
An animal after death. A dead animal can't consent, just like a living animal can't consent either. Consent is inapplicable to the dead. Live animals can consent. Okay, see it from a point of respect. Imagine someone f***s the corpse of one of your dead relatives. Again, simply not applicable to animals. The animal's family isn't going to be offended or hurt from their family member being f***ed after death. They wouldn't even know about it. Well, I think that's enough Twitter for today. His YouTube playlist of favorite videos, for example, besides the odd source filmmaker meme, is littered with My Little Pony clips.
My Little Pony is another thing that guy, like if you're a man
Mm-hmm.
Over the age of 21, stop it.
Yeah. Please.
Get help.
Please.
That's meant for little girls, dude.
Yes.
And gender's not. Shut the fuck up. Meant for little girls. Get a transformer, put it on your lap, and say, you're straight.
I'm a man.
Oh man, Optimus Prime made me a man.
Which is probably how we got into this stuff in the first place. And one particularly pernicious video titled Presentation, Sexual Ethics, Zoophilia, Necrophilia, Pedophilia.
See those 3 things? They're all together.
Yeah, they are.
Though the combination of those elements are enough to raise suspicion, Sean leaves no room for speculation, as he has an account under the same handle on Zooville, a site centered around discussing zoophilia and bestiality. His bio reads, "Hello, I'm Quantum Kitty, Twitter's most infamous zoophile. Male, 20, equinophile, INTP, US Marine, lover of math and science."
Why do you put that at the end? Lover of math and science.
Meow? The fact that he has his Myers-Briggs personality test results right next to the word equinophile is really something else. I'll say it right now, do not ever go on this website.
Nope.
It's exactly the kind of thing you'd think could only be hosted in the deep web or some insane Eastern European Telegram chat. However, it's not only up and
That's a reference for another video. That little Telegram thing.
Yeah.
public, but it's still active as we speak. I'd say this is a job for hackers if it weren't much more deserving of a specialized firing squad.
A big dude.
In Minecraft, in Roblox. Meta irony, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of displaying your most deranged peculiarities for all to see, and where it can be easily traced back to your real-life identity, this wasn't the only public forum that Sean participated in. Because of how few and far between English-speaking extremely online zoos happen to be,
Look at that.
Ah, see that flag? Yep.
I don't think they have a flag, but they do have a symbol.
Yeah.
They tend to unite into
They
little
hop right
niches
on
where
that
everyone
Pride
knows
Month.
and defends each other. Birds of a feather flock together, I suppose. In early 2021, it was announced on Twitter that Quantum Kitty would be joining two others, Toggle the Rat and Love Cat, on the explicitly pro-zoophile podcast Zooier Than Thou. Yes, you heard me right, a zoo podcast. To me, it sounds absurd, but apparently there's a lot of them. Extremely online people love starting podcasts, after all. The ZTT podcast features episodes such as zoophilia and religion, mixed relationships, zoos and non-zoos, and women in the zoo community. You know what? I'm glad they're finally fixing their female representation problem. That was always the most glaringly obvious issue with zoos. They weren't diverse enough with women. I can't really think of anything else that's objectionable about them now that that's taken care of. Current year truly is progressive. I cannot for the life of me stress how absurd it is that a podcast exists where these guys sit down for an hour or so, openly talking about their lifestyle, with royalty-free smooth jazz playing in the background. The aberrant garbage.
Just to let you know, I was trying to look up the symbol, and I accidentally went on that website. And I saw like a small penis on there. Something. Don't go.
Is everywhere
there.
the eyes can see just from clicking on the website. And yes, there is a functioning website for it, available on the ClearNet. I can't even show you guys these people's character designs because they are always not safe for not being traumatized. Their online presence isn't contained in just their own site though. They also have a Twitter account, so you can stay up to date on when new episodes are coming out, which I'm sure all of you are chomping at the bit for. Surprisingly enough, the podcast is even up on YouTube. People have tried and succeeded at getting it taken down before, but they just made a new channel and re-uploaded everything again. Welcome to YouTube, folks, where these guys can talk about R-wording animals out in the open, but
You see that little symbol that kind of looks like a Z on a 3?
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Does that dog have purple hair?
Yeah. I don't like it at all. It makes me very uncomfortable.
There's a dog, another dog, a cat, and a rat.
Yep. How come the other dog is so short?
Probably doing something.
But if I talk about them talking about R-wording animals out in the open, I'll get hit with an age restriction. Awesome. To summarize as much as possible, the
That's
podcast
weird.
currently has a handful of interchangeable hosts. There's Love Cat, real name Chad Grisham, who loves to spend time on Quora answering inquiries such as, how do I have sex with a cow? His answer was, passing this on from a friend with considerable years of cow sex experience. And that's where I'm going to stop reading.
Yep, thank you. I was getting prepared for some really nasty stuff. I'm glad he stopped reading right there.
Ew.
Also have Zooey, Kinophile, and Canisnosis. Kinophile has a couple of old Reddit posts doing zoo AMAs, which were about as well received as you'd expect. And
You are
Canisnosis
broken.
retweets new agey inspirational quotes. There is no exercise better for the heart than reaching down and lifting someone else up. Growth is uncomfortable because you've never been here before. You've never seen this version of you. So give yourself a little grace and breathe through it. Nothing quite like putting live, laugh, love, and keep calm and carry on type quotes on your timeline right next to your arguments about why bestiality is ethical. The cognitive dissonance these people possess defies all logic and reasoning, and yet here we are. However, the founders of the podcast, Fosty and Toggle, take the cake for just how demented they are. Fosty, or Douglas Spink, wasn't just your run-of-the-mill zoophile. He owned a VPN company and used to be an international drug trafficker. At one point, he was arrested for nothing other than running a farm dedicated entirely to the purpose of bestiality. An article about this incident from 2010 in the Sydney Morning Herald does a good job of explaining Douglas Spink's backstory. Spink,
Australia? That came from you.
39, made a fortune in Oregon buying and selling small companies in the 1990s and was known as an adrenaline junkie, listing rock climbing and base jumping off cliffs, radio towers, and bridges among his hobbies. But by 2002, his wealth had evaporated. He filed for bankruptcy as creditors sought millions from him, and he began running cocaine and marijuana across the border for a local drug kingpin.
You know, this is society we live in, and sadly I agree with it. Like, so you hear like this guy, he used to smuggle drugs and shit, and he ran a farm for having sex with animals. And the one thing that pops in my head is the cocaine and marijuana thing is not as bad.
Spink was arrested in 2005 after investigators pulled him over with a load of nearly 170 kilograms of cocaine,
That's a lot of
valued at
cocaine.
$34
Yeah, it
million.
is.
Authorities searched his farm after prosecutors received a tip from a public defender's office in Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Dozens of dogs, horses, and pet mice were seized, along with what
Don't you
investigators
come looking
described
at
as
us.
thousands of images of bestiality and apparent CP. There were mice that had their tails cut off, they were smothered in Vaseline, and had string tied around them. When agents searched Spink's home, they found a video of a man sexually abusing.
Dude, the guy cut off mice's tails,
Mm-hmm.
lubed him up, and had a string on him. He was shoving him up his ass.
dogs, and that same man was still on the property wearing the same clothes as in the video. Apparently, this farm was part of some kind of program or operation Spink was running, which even had its own website, though he wasn't very subtle about what was really going on. Spink has a history of training and breeding dogs and horses. He calls his operation Exit Point Stallions Limited, and expounds at length on his website about his philosophy. Are we unconventional in our approach to stallion care? Absolutely, he writes. He later adds, "We don't wall off sexual energy in our stallions as something dangerous or inappropriate, but rather channel that energy towards positive, safe, appropriate paths. There's a proper time and place for it, and we work towards those sort of skills rather than fighting unwinnable fights against deeply rooted instincts." It was at this same farm, by the way.
But look at that guy.
Yeah.
And you see this guy, he's like,
I feel like
Stand up
I've
here.
heard of this before.
stand up guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it's sex with animals.
Where Kenneth Pinion, or as he's usually called online, Mr. Hands, died from injuries suffered while being mounted.
Mr. Hands. I have heard of this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't
Guy
like
got
any of
fucked
it.
to death by a horse.
Mhm. Yes,
by
he
a
did.
horse. And yes, I do mean mounted in that way.
Yep.
As for Spink, he ended up dying in 2020 after succumbing to cancer in
What do you think he got cancer in?
Mhm.
But
behind
Yep.
region. These people would rather inflict internal bleeding upon themselves or contract cancer than refrain from engaging in these horrific proclivities. Let that sink in, truly. Take it in. Or don't. Feel free to relinquish all this information to some dark recess of your mind and never think about it ever again. I wish I could. Long before the formation of the Zooier Than Thou podcast,
Yep.
Spink was making other attempts at normalizing the twisted behavior of zoos. One was the Twitter account Cross Species Alliance, created in March 2013. Its bio reads, "Defending the historical role, community, and core legal rights of zoophiles via activism." Along with this was the hashtag LGBTZ, an attempt at putting zoophilia under the LGBT umbrella. The account's last bit of activity before it went silent,
Now,
presumably
Mikey.
due to Spink's death.
like, okay. So I have this thing. Now, LGBTQ, what have you, right?
Yeah.
The day they add a Z or an M in there is the day that I don't give a fuck who you are, you lose.
Yep.
You lose because that M would be for maps because they're trying not to be called pedophiles, and Z is for this.
Mm-hmm.
God,
I dare anybody in the Alphabet Mafia to come at me about maps or zoophiles like that you will get taken down 100% of the time. You are stupid if you even think about defending either one of those at all in the comments. That is stupid. You are stupid. And there is no reason to even like associate with those kind of things. That's ridiculous.
and like I said in the beginning, this is furry month. All right? These are furries.
Yeah.
But once again, I'm throwing this out because not all the furries are like this.
No.
Okay. I understand that. A lot of people understand that. However, you are in a group that have these people in there.
Uh-huh.
And these are past people. There's still people doing this.
Yep.
And until you guys literally like throw them out under the bus so they could get all, made into pizzas.
My problem is not with people who disavow this, but it's the people who defend it. Because there are people who defend these actions.
Because I have a feeling we're going to get a comment saying, well, I'm a furry and I don't fuck animals. Good.
Perfect.
Good. That should be a fucking default. But there's people in your group like this. And they still are there. And there are people that are furries that don't do it that will say, look, it's blah, blah, blah. And maybe they have alternative motives because maybe they do it themselves, or they've been thinking about it because, like I said, the furry community could have been this lighthearted thing, right?
Yep.
Because it took a little sum up thing. I know a lot of people in our generation that are furries are like that because of, let's say, Space Jam. You have that rabbit chick. I forgot what her name was. Do you remember it?
Is it Babs?
I don't know.
I forget.
But they're like, oh, she was hot and sexy. And that's like a turn on. Anything that's sexual based that you have with an animal could lead to this. And I'm not saying it is that. I'm just saying it is adjacent. It is right there, dude. You are, and this is another bad thing of tribalism and all that stuff. If you want to say that furries are fine, cool, but you guys also have these people in it, like the group, like, and this is just one person. This is not even the worst one.
Yep, and it was Lola Bunny, by the way, just because I know we'll get.
Yeah, do you remember when the new one came out and they redesigned her and she's not like good looking anymore and people got pissed?
Yep.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Why horse racing is cruel and needs to end. A classic tactic these people use is feigning compassion towards animals.
Turkey Tom's such a dick. He puts all this like footage of these animals.
Yeah, it does.
As if they were even more sensitive to their sufferings than the average person. Then they turn around and argue for why it's okay to use their corpses, or end up being exposed for zoo sadism. Speaking of which, that brings me to the zoo sadism leaks. In 2018, a Telegram channel sharing some of the...
This is something that we're going to get into. The last video, surprise, surprise, is going to be about this. Kino the Wolf. God. And they're showing the photo. That photo right there, the second one, that's the dog. That if you guys want to know like my hatred for like furries and like shit like this, that animal right there and that animal's death, it's the reason why I fucking hate furries. I hate anybody that harms any animal, and what they did to that animal is so fucked up and so it angers me so much that you could do that to not only just an animal, a young animal, a puppy. And we'll get to that. And the reason why the reason why we do this too is to show awareness of that this shit happens. This is fucked up shit. And a life is a life. And an animal, especially dogs, because dogs are like probably the most favorite animal of any human, because people have dogs.
Right.
Even if you're a cat person, you know that dogs love you more than a cat, because a cat kind of just is there.
Yeah.
But you're willing to do that. That is the most fucked up of shit that you could possibly do. And like you deserve a caliber of a type of slug that will end your life in Minecraft.
Typically, when I make these videos, the non-zoophile furries get bunched in with the rest since, let's face it, there are a lot of zoophiles that are also furries. However,
like I said,
on this occasion, despite my personal opinions about furries, I do have to mention that some of the first people to go after Quantum Kitty were people from the furry community.
So that's a positive.
Okay.
Who didn't like how he, along with the other zoos, were slowly infiltrating their spaces. Two people in particular, Coyote Lovely and Relly, would engage directly with Quantum Kitty and actually confront him about certain things he's been doing online, such as sending bestiality porn to minors. Sean's bulletproof defense, which would certainly hold up in a court of law, was that he did it as an argument, as he had been debating these minors on whether dogs could consent or not. The video was supposedly to be proof of their capability to consent, according to him.
Because not only have you just admitted to watching zoophile porn, bestiality porn, sending it to people, and even with the context you've given, scum of society. Literally, below that, you animals. Animals can't consent.
It's a fact. Prove it.
Prove a negative. Prove a negative. Oh yeah, I'm so smart. I'm gonna tell you to prove a negative.
That's because they're animals. They have the minds of fucking toddlers. They're gonna
you're
other species, yeah? They're gonna other people.
You're equating fully developed animals who are fully developed to engage in sexual interaction to children who are absolutely not.
That's an argument. That made me feel dumber.
He's stupid.
I have no idea what you said.
Mr. Zoophile, if you actually go pick up a puppy from the pound and then wait until it's old enough to have sex with it, does that make you an orbiter as well? Like, or were you a pedophile or groomer? Like, what is that? Like, what do we call you in that situation?
Interesting.
Aside from sick.
Well, considering I don't have sex with underage animals, no, I'm not a...
What?
Mikey, he just said, look, I'm not a monster. I don't have sex with underage animals.
What?
Wait, all animals are underage, though.
Underage animals. Oh my god. What is the age of consent for an animal? Please tell.
What would that be, Mikey?
I want to hear his numbskull answer.
Is it 2 barks for yes, 1 bark for no?
If we want to establish an age of consent for a dog, we could argue that it's when it's fully developed in every sense, physically, mentally, and sexually, which tends to be...
I think we're done here, Relly.
No, you're done here because you don't have a valid argument.
I don't need an argument to make fun of you, you fucking dumbass.
Then get the fuck out of here.
This has been really, really fun. Real quick, I guess I'll leave us off as well. Go to your roof and just do a backflip.
But please stop fucking animals.
Not gonna happen.
God damn it.
One comment under the YouTube upload of this video reads as follows. He sent it to several minors, including me. The whole reason I created Quantum Crackhead, now Crackhead the Duck, a parody of Sean's original Twitter account, was to get back at him for sending me that disgusting shit. Of course, once that parody gained traction, he mass reported it, but since the account didn't break TOS, he did not get his way. And recently, he did something that crossed the line too far. He saved and posted a photo of me without my consent. So now, not only has he sent me bestiality, he saved a photo of me and posted it as his argument with someone else. First, sending minors bestiality, now saving and sharing pictures of them. Seems we're going in an appropriate direction.
Degeneracy, more degeneracy, and it just keeps going.
Outside, like I said, why do furries get made fun of?
This discussion, wherein Sean admitted to doing these things, was just a clip from a larger video which is still up on YouTube if you want to go check it out for yourself. As it turns out, this spat over his online interactions with a minor would later reveal themselves to be just a drop in the ocean of Sean's misdeeds, if you can believe that. After having publicly vilified Sean, people began reaching out to Coyote Lovely to essentially give him more ammo to use against Quantum Kitty, who became paranoid about it. This led Sean to conduct an entire online crusade of gaslighting against Coyote, as this thread by Twitter account Zoophile Struggle Tweets, or Strugs, shows. The images attached were screenshots of Sean's conversations with people whom apparently considered him a friend, saying things like, "You should give me everything you have on Coyote. I can do my digging and hopefully come up with a full docs. When you give me the go-ahead, I can then release it. Coyote isn't really a good friend to anyone, it seems, only seems to care about using people. If your usefulness has run out, he'll toss you to the wayside. If you decide you don't like what he's doing, you're his new target." This was quite a case of projection, as Sean was evidently doing what he was accusing Coyote of. In his efforts to isolate Coyote from everyone else online, he would go around Strugs' back and talk to his friends, manipulating them into further pressing Strugs to the point where he had to talk to his psychologist. Another mutual horrible about these things, it fills me with shame and regret every time I think of it. Fortunately, I have a wonderful relationship with both of them nowadays, and I have become a better person. I know I will never do such things again, but will still never forgive myself. If you notice that he conspicuously failed to mention the claims about the dead deer and other roadkill, he would immediately follow that passage up with this whopper. "I used to f dead deer I found on the side of the road. Started back in 2018 and continued up until early this year. Managed it probably 24 times, dragging them into the woods or into my car, and 2 times into my house to f them.
Is this
It was
Quantum
terrible.
Kitty?
Blood everywhere and smelled so bad. I invested in a good respirator to filter out the smell of rotting corpses. I reached my breaking point when I had a dead deer in my fridge for 2 days to fuck multiple times. That's when I broke and knew I had to stop. It was so
That was the breaking point. That was the breaking point, Mikey. It wasn't taking the corpse, dragging it into your car, taking it home, fucking it. It was seeing it in the fridge.
fucking degenerate, I couldn't even look at myself. A cold, dead deer covered in blood laying on my kitchen floor, and I was done fucking it. That was it. I stopped and I haven't done it since. I'm
Never mind. It was post-nut clarification, they call it. After you're done, getting your rocks off, you're like, oh no, I did something wrong. God, dude.
done with that. It was only ever deer.
Look, people shouldn't have guns.
Why? Why are people? Why this?
Mikey, I think if you lost hope in humanity, by the end of March, you will.
The fox thing Redacted was talking about was for him. He wanted me to pick
Because these are people, like I said.
it up so we could take it back so he could chop off its head and tail to keep it. I did not fuck anything other than the deer. And yeah, I had sex with Redacted's dog behind his back, as if that nasty prick's consent is needed for the dog to do her own thing. What an interesting plot twist. From regretful necrozoophile to proudly embracing having banged someone's dog behind their back because the dog did her own thing.
Dude, okay, scenario time. You have a dog, right? I have a dog. I know you have a dog.
Uh-huh.
Someone came over and fucked your dog. I think I would blow the guy's brains out in Minecraft with a gun in Minecraft. I would. I don't know about you, but some people may say a dog being sexually molested is not worth a person's life.
That
It
person.
Minecraft.
Yeah, that. I don't.
Like that enraged me. Me hearing
Yeah.
that just now just put so much fire in my stomach. I just
As with all cases like this, any minimal sign of
Yeah,
acknowledgement.
it's people like this that make me wish the world was flat, so that way we could take them to the edge and just go and bye.
I have that when you have
Well,
it-
have you
really
ever seen videos of what happens to you whenever you go into space without a spacesuit?
Or repent.
no, because they don't have video of that.
Yeah. Then bad things happen.
I mean, if you have like a bathtub and you fill it with water, then you take the person and you overpower them, and then you slam it into the thing, and then you make them see Jesus in Minecraft.
Or, there's anchors on ships.
Cement
if you-
shoes.
Yeah. They can go visit fishes at
Under the sea.
yeah. At
you
the bottom
like
of the
animals
ocean.
so much. There's a lot of animals.
Here,
in
you
the
want to go
sea.
find a mermaid?
Yeah.
But also the promotion of contact between zoos and animals. I, on the other hand, promote the contact of the nearest police force if someone ever tries to debate the ethics of banging animals. Almost 2 months before Coyote's vid came out, Sean's aforementioned paranoia about people connecting these dots and figuring out what kind of person he really was had him prepping for the hot water he was about to be doused with. He took it to Twitter to do some preemptive damage control. Attention fellow zoos, I'm leaving the community tonight. As of late, it's come to my attention some zoos who hate me are working to defame me by spreading
Rumors.
Other zoos thought the shit he was doing was worse than what they were doing.
Yep.
rumors about me. This is far from the first time it's happened too. In light of this and numerous other things, I've decided it's time for me to head on out. My focus on this community and Twitter especially has caused me to neglect much more important things in my life. It was fun while it lasted, but it's time for me to check out. Later tonight, I shall delete this account, this time for good. I will not be coming back this time. The Quantum Kitty is now dead. I wish all of you good luck and happy times, and remember, stay defiant. Of course, he was lying and returned almost instantly, just as he had done many times before, and would do many times after. I won't mention every time he switches handles because it's pointless, just know that every once in a while, instead of making some variation of the Quantum Kitty name, he names himself some pretentious surface-level literary reference. I've been mentioning his Twitter for a while now, but we haven't yet had the displeasure of going over his tweets. For example, in this one, Sean appreciates one of his favorite Einstein quotes about being a man of value. It seems he's really into powerful quotes, such as this other one that says, "If you believe in yourself, you can be the reason why a horse gets pregnant," which he emphatically
That. What? Why?
It got 12 likes.
retweeted. Yeah, powerful stuff indeed, guys. This is so f***ed. Though he had minors GTFO in his bio, and often did anti-pedophile lip service to try and prevent anyone from accusing him of it, the fact that he spent every hour of every day constantly fighting people on Twitter over the ethics of zoophilia made being consistent in his PR efforts very difficult. In one instance, he would tweet, "Here's a few facts. Animals are conscious, animals are sentient, animals experience pleasure, animals have emotions. That's it, that's the tweet." To which another user would reply with a copy-paste of his post, but with animals replaced with kids. This would be to no avail, as Sean would double down, saying those are also facts. When asked if being a pedophile was okay, he replied, "There's nothing wrong with being a pedo, only with acting on it. Don't see what this has to do with anything.
No.
Not that being a pro-contact zoo isn't bad enough."
No. That is the world's dumbest thing anyone has ever said.
I know I've said this before. Like, we've always talked about like the lol cows, the worst ones, and I'm like Cyrex and you know and Daniel Larson. They're bad. Obviously, PDF files. Maybe acting on it, not yet, but they still have that. This motherfucker, with that debate alone, he's on the same wavelength. Not to mention, we haven't even put the evidence of him fucking animals. Dead ones and alive ones. Revenge having sex with animals with a neighbor. Like, what the? This guy is on another fucking tier. So keep that in mind. Like Cyrex and the other little cows that it's fun to laugh at, and they're sick individuals. They should never have a good day. They're better people than this.
But this obviously,
And sadly, because I know it's coming up, he's the worst at the moment.
It's
adds a
sad
new
that
layer
we
of
have to say
wretchedness
at the
on top.
moment.
Yeah, I know. Because I know what's coming up. And that's the worst.
Of it. When the list of the people he was following was examined, it showed that he was following a number of zoos, including many that were minors, ranging anywhere from 17 all the way down to 13 years old. In another tweet, he would also weirdly brag about having sex with a 17-year-old. As a 20-year-old, I had sex with a 17-year-old too. Feel free to cry about it, Lamau.
Now, where I live in Ohio, you can't go to jail for that.
Right.
And that's a 3-year gap. And it's still like that. That's still, in my opinion, I would never do.
Right.
But law-wise and the 3-year gap, you can get away with it because 3 years, high school, all that stuff, you're still there. But I still would highly not recommend that.
Nope.
I'm Quantum Kitty, and I had sex with a 17-year-old. If you think a 20-year-old having sex with a 17-year-old is pedophilia, you're fucking stupid. Lamau. Sean has a history of being in denial, as he also claims that, despite his entire online presence being under the name of Kitty, and him having his profile picture be some kind of furry commission, he is not a furry, which at this point seems like pretty small potatoes in comparison.
So, obviously, with this, he shouldn't even be in furry month. But,
Comparison to the rest, and a couple of other tweets, which are now gone from the platform. Thanks, Elon. He made quite a specific claim, that not only are animals able to consent, but that sex with animals is actually safer than sex with humans. Risk of disease is significantly lower than with humans. Please provide evidence of harm. Animals can consent. Nice bandwagon. Anything else? Care to speak about human STDs? I'll wait. When confronted with resources from this absolute miserable fool who was taking the time out of his day to engage with him, he would pivot to another prepared point. Most STIs don't come from animals, are far deadlier and more prevalent. Even more proof that sex with humans isn't good. It's causing a bunch of harm, right? Call me crazy, but I suspect that most STIs don't come from animals due to the fact that banging animals isn't exactly the most popular practice. When the person he was replying to wouldn't concede, he would terminate the discussion with the statement, "It's clear you are utterly clueless and completely ignorant of immunology and microbiology as well as psychology." It's interesting that he's accusing someone of not being savvy about psychology when, in another tweet, he alleged that he was seeing a therapist who agreed with him that zoophilia was not an issue. Not sure how trustworthy that psychological know-how can actually be, if that's actually the case and he wasn't just lying to give himself credence. He eventually turned on his psychologist once he told him that masturbating once a day qualified him as hypersexual. Besides using his Twitter to like furry not safe for work and retweet vile things I don't dare utter, he would occasionally post videos of the stray dog he had adopted. If this wasn't enough of a red flag, there's even one where he looks to be nude. Thankfully, it seems that he lost custody, if that's what you call it, of the dog in question. Hopefully, he didn't do it any harm, but given his history, I wouldn't count on it. Even if this particular dog got away unscathed, it does seem that Sean relapsed into zoophilic contact and was hinting that he'd filmed it and was willing to share it. In one instance, he even posted a picture of his genitalia, to which the first reply was someone suggesting that it looked disease-ridden, which is par for the course considering where that thing has been.
Yep.
With the attention on Quantum Kitty reaching its boiling point during late 2021, it began dwindling almost immediately after. This was demoralizing for the people who wanted justice done against him, and satisfactory for Sean, who noticed the unwanted attention he had on him slowly left to go attach itself onto some other degenerate. After it had died down enough, returned to his usually scheduled programming, bold as ever, knowing he had gotten away with it. By early February 2022, Winter Green, one of the people who gave Coyote Lovely information, made a thread on Twitter saying, "Just got a bit of bad news, folks. We have a certain quantum level problem. Apparently, Quantum Kitty is back in action, and doxing. After attempting to ruin Coyote Lovely and a few others, Sean is trying to dox anti-zoos. There are people trying to release information about someone who's a good person for both communities, zoo and anti. I highly advise you stay away from Quantum, do not interact, and report Sean to the proper authorities. If you have anything verifiable on him, report it to his platoon commander, report it to the FBI. Yes, by UCMJ standards, he is committing a federal crime. Report it to his local authorities if you know his locale."
Mind you, he's a Marine.
Yep.
Still in. Like the Marines.
Yep.
This is a dangerous individual, and he's
I don't know that pisses me off a lot more because my brother was a Marine. So I'm a little biased that I think that their training and morals are a little higher than, like, let's say Army or just Navy or Air Force.
Right.
Like, because you got to do it longer. You know, they beat they used to at least beat your ass like a lot harder
Right.
than the other ones.
willing to ruin lives. For his own gain, for revenge, he's willing to hurt people, and he doesn't care who. Let's get this person the consequence he deserves for actions, including beating his disabled brother and a family dog. Despite being a motivating war cry, especially with the information that Sean's bestiality qualified as a crime and would get him in trouble in the military, Sean's situation continued to languish in obscurity for a while. If the appropriate authorities were notified, they either didn't care or couldn't do anything. At least, that's what everyone was thinking until about 9 months later, when a shocking news article would surface. Local news reported that Sean had been charged with 1 count of aggravated animal cruelty and that he was arrested, though he was released on a bond of $1,500. According to the article, investigations began in June of that year, and the detectives suspected Sean was potentially torturing and having sex with animals at his house, a story corroborated by multiple of Sean's neighbors. With a couple weeks of investigations, search and seizure warrants were executed, and a significant amount of evidence was found of Sean engaging in animal cruelty as well as, you guessed it, bestiality. On his phone, a video was uncovered of Sean masturbating his dog, which was shared with someone he was talking to over a messaging app, presumably Telegram. He also offered this person he was talking to the opportunity to have sex with his dog. The article closed with the mention that it was expected that other charges would soon follow. While other people took this to mean Quantum Kitty's days of being a zoo online were done for, he was still extremely online and trying to act like this was business as usual for him. In one particular exchange, just a couple of days after his arrest and bond release, he said, "I'm still here, don't hold your breath, sweetheart," followed by an admission to being a necro-zoo sadist. Additionally, he would make the following statement. "I don't know what antis are celebrating. I'm not going anywhere, Lamau. By the way, I turned myself in and was there for 5 hours and got out without paying a dime." The bravado he was putting up to people on Twitter wouldn't last long, as just a few days later, he created a GoFundMe page for himself. The description read, Hi, Sean here, though you probably know me as Quantum Kitty. Recently, law enforcement launched a bogus crusade against me and
Nobody
charged
had
me
better
with
give him
aggravated
any
animal
money.
cruelty for supposedly giving my dog a hand job. Now, legal expenses are quite high, as you can imagine. Donate to help me, my dog,
No.
and the community as a whole to fight this in court. As you can imagine, this pitch wasn't very attractive, and coupled with his demeanor on Twitter, he wasn't able to muster anyone's support. As a
Good.
consequence, his tune slowly changed as time went by, and he noticed that the walls were closing in on him. Eventually, his entire online presence would be wiped, probably in an effort to stop law enforcement from finding more things to charge him with. Well, all online presence except for one remnant, which would not only stay up, but stay active. One of his many alternate accounts, Valence the Deer, not only continued to post, but also got him in even more trouble. Other than the drawn zoophilia he posted indiscriminately, he also routinely tweeted out pieces of poetry he wrote, which are as enthralling as you would expect, along with the update on his court situation. He also wrote poetry about the court situation to express how the world unfairly persecutes him for being a kind, lovely human being. Prodigal son of the darkness, how forthwith you have returned. Dejected seeker of love, you once again have been burned. Far too late did you realize all the faults that you had amassed. An unbearable price you now pay, you'll never escape your past. Too soon the mask slipped, and a monster is all I could see. You sorrowful martyr of misery, now you will never be free. And now they will discern what truly lies inside. The passion I so long to share, the love I wish no longer to hide.
Gross.
The scarlet letter that stains me, to hate me is their duty. To them I see a beast, but secretly dreams of beauty. No second chances for I, just a lamentable waste of benevolence. Too late I was to discover the compassion I had in such prevalence. Verily, it was a fantastical thinking, contrived by my tired mind. There is heaven for the cruel, but the devil waits for the kind. It's time I've stopped dreaming and recall the lessons of old. Any hope that I have will forever and always be merely fool's gold. So pretentious, it almost makes you forget that this is about him getting arrested for masturbating his dog. Other than these horrors, one thing that stood out on his Twitter account is that he routinely retweeted and added the account of another furry he was attempting to establish contact with, Rorek, a prominent figure in the furry community. Some have speculated that the reason behind Sean's only remaining account being the one where he roleplays as a deer is due to the fact that he wanted to get with Rorek, whose persona is a reindeer. The details behind it are murky and haven't been disclosed as of yet, but on the 27th of December 2022, Rorek filed a lawsuit against Sean for stalking, which resulted in him being arrested once again on January 7th,
Sweet.
from what I understand of this legalese. Concurrently with this, another 5 charges were added to his animal abuse case from mid-2022, and as of February 6, 2023, Sean has been criminally convicted, accompanied by his online radio silence. Hopefully, this pans out with Sean being behind bars and on a registry that prevents him from ever coming near an animal again in his life.
Yep.
However, we should always prepare for the worst, given how unequipped certain jurisdictions are to deal with these kinds of cases.
Yeah.
Whenever I decide to make the masochistic decision of investigating a zoophile, I never leave unscathed, partially because their crimes are so heinous, but also because the research goes from just being a rabbit hole to a spider's web of connections to other equally disturbing individuals with their own unique villain origin stories. For whatever reason, perverts of all kinds seem to have a compulsive need to expound upon each and every one of their nightmare-inducing thoughts to other people, and zoophiles are no exception. This means that, inevitably, they band together into enclaves of interwoven Twitter accounts and social media presences. They spend their days affirming one another's mental illnesses in an echo chamber of depravity. They often create lists to block en masse anyone who objects to their crimes, so they can tune out any semblance of a consequence for their actions. At the end of the day, the only thing that could possibly nag them is their conscience, if they still have one. I've been Turkey Tom, thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.
That is exactly why we need to band together and pull these people out into the light. Pull them out of their echo chambers. Pull these prominent figures who want to just spew this stupid bullshit out into the world and do this stupid shit and bring other people into these bad places. We got to pull these people out.
I fucking hate people. Like
I hate degenerate people. I hate people who think that everything is okay whenever multiple people have sit here and pointed out things over and over and over again. And these people get chance after chance after chance. I understand you're innocent until proven guilty, but whenever there is a mountain of evidence against you, you're guilty.
I just hate people. Furries out there. I understand that you're probably upset that there's a video on Furry Month and this is what it's being shown, but it's in your group.
Take it
And
out.
yeah, extinguish it with fire, or you're being dragged down with it.
Yep.
And that's why Furry Month will continue. The next week, I may do something more lighter. But I want to get a bad one out just so people understand what Furry Month really is.
Mhm.
It's to show these people, like whether it be like the last one, which was about just a group of people called, otherkin, or pieces of shit like this that are zoophiles. And the sad thing is, zoophiles is horrible, but you have the zoo sadokists that are even worse because they do that shit and kill the animal.
Yep.
So like you have that asshole say, "Love, love, I love animals."
Yeah.
I'm not hurting them; it's consensual. Next time we talk about zoophiles, they can't use that argument,
They
and
shouldn't use that argument. That's stupid.
they shouldn't fuck animals,
Yep.
but they do. So, Mikey, this is a horrible place we live in,
Yep.
and God,
I hate these people. All right. And with that, Banana Bear Show, YouTube, you know the drill. Like and subscribe. Tell me something nice in the comments. Please. Please.
I don't do that to animals. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like,
Raise your hand in the comments if you don't do that to animals, please. And we'll see you in the next video.